We have an emergency red alert. Actually, we have about three of them, and they're all related. They're all simultaneous. And honestly, the people that see this in Europe, and we do have the European following, the people that see this in Australia will understand the gravity. Some of the people here will in America, but we live under the illusion that we are so isolated that nothing can touch us, that other conflicts can't spill over onto us and embroil us. And I would say to those people, World War One, World War Two, it's ready to happen here. This is very serious. We're going to unfold this for you in a very non-emotional way, but make you realize that you need to get to work. You got work to do because very soon you could be on your own. My name is Dave Hodges. I am the host of the Common Sense Show. We are the show that is freeing America one enslaved mind at a time. Thank you so much for joining us. And we are brought to you by the Nanosoma products. A year ago, 14 months to be exact, couldn't breathe, couldn't walk upstairs, stripped lung linings from RSV, wasn't healing. I was told there's no hope. You're too old. It's not going to come back. Well, Scotty Sachs introduced me to this, and it came back. But when I was in the gym, fully recovering, the gel came into play, the nanosoma gel. And I had joints that just weren't cooperating and things that had driven me from playing basketball 26 years ago. And I started using this. And today, well, I had pretty good leg workout last night. Actually, I had an extensive leg workout last night. I feel it in my body. Farmer's walk was brutal. The squats were brutal, but I don't feel it in my knees. No inflammation. This is the key. And finally, fine lines and wrinkles, cuts, abrasions. The magic cream is what I call it. The three of these are the three pack, the starter pack, and they're available when you buy all three for 15% off. Now, how do you do that? You go to iwantmyhealthpack.com/Dave Hodges. iwantmyhealthpack.com/Dave Hodges. That, what I just gave you, is good news. This is not good news. And I have very little to offer in the way of solutions and hope. And one of the things I've been very consistent of, I said, when you watch someone's stuff and they give you good intel, a lot of good open source stuff, but they never give you any solutions, they overwhelm you with the negativity and say there's nothing you can do. I said, you're probably dealing with disinfo trying to induce learned helplessness. Well, I may take on that appearance today because for the life of me, I don't have a lot of answers here. I don't really think I have any that are valid yet. And I'm hoping that you, an intelligent member of our audience, will contribute and let me know what you think some possible realistic solutions are. Nuke them all is not an answer. Okay. Hopefully, we can avoid all that. Let's get into what's going on. By now, you've already heard about Ukraine's successful drone raid on airfields in Russia, in which 50% or 40 nuclear bombers, 50% of their nuclear fleet, or 40 bombers, were taken out. This is a huge deal. And not so much for Ukraine, but if Russia has to fight NATO, and in particular the United States, this was a very big deal. It was a message. But this message also came with a warning from Merz. Now, I'm not a fan of Merz, the Chancellor of Germany. I think the guy is a certifiable nutcase. He speaks before he thinks. He's not politically astute, but he is to be taken seriously because he has shown he's a man of his word and he is aggressive. He's aggressive to the point of being reckless. He has said, and I've mentioned this in passing, but now we have details. He's giving the Taurus missile to be manufactured on Ukrainian soil with German assistance. Poland is also offering to help. There will be no restrictions on the missile range. Could you say good morning, Vladimir Putin in Red Square? Do you think Putin is going to take this lying down? This is a major provocation. And it's to the point where Putin issued a warning yesterday. He said, Berlin does this. We will nuke Berlin. Now you have to remember, Putin is part of the old KGB, Soviet Union Communist Party leadership. He's a descendant of Gorbachev. Even though the Soviet Union fell in 1989, their communist leadership did not. They stayed in control in combination with KGB that became the Russian mafia. And Putin comes out of this mode. They're not messing around. And I'll tell you, Doug Thornton and I discussed this last night at length. It's not the threats that Putin makes that you have to worry about as much as it is what he's not telling you. He's not going to take this lying down. Russia is squeezed to the hilt with a pipeline coming out of Qatar into Europe for natural gas. Russia will be undercut post-war. Russia's failure to negotiate a ceasefire, the peace treaty, will cut them out of Ukrainian minerals. Russia is basically cut off from Syria, so they've lost that military prowess in the Mediterranean, meaning they can't expand. They can only go one direction, and that's into Europe directly. No pincer attack from the Mediterranean. That's because their base at Tartus is gone. Their Central African, as I pointed out yesterday, their Central African mining operations with the Wagner Group are gone. They can't resupply. Turkey is not allowing any flyovers or shipping from the Black Sea into the Mediterranean. Not happening. And you're saying, gosh, this is serious for Russia. Very serious. Without these minerals out of Africa, the offset against the sanctions are lost. Russia, with some of the foodstuffs, is already suffering 30% food inflation. They have a manpower shortage that we talked about yesterday. 2.5 million people, males, ages 20 to 35, are either dead or have left the country. Huge labor shortage. Some people are saying Russia won't recover for 2 generations. There's something to be said here. And Doug Thornton and I are going to do a show tonight. It'll air here on this venue tomorrow and our podcast the day after. With Doug and I are going to discuss the ramifications and what's likely to happen. Putin's already threatened a nuclear action against Berlin. He's being squeezed. I said the other day, I've said twice now in the last week, I estimate from the depletion of production to the losses on the battlefield that Putin has about 90 days of offensive ability. But right now, they're in a quagmire. They took, what, 2.5 kilometers last week? They can't afford the loss that's going, the cost per square mile with manpower and equipment losses are not sustainable. This is going to make Putin desperate. And what Doug and I are going to discuss, and I'll mention a little of it here, but we'll get into it in depth on our interview we're doing tonight, late in the evening. Doug and I both feel that if Putin is allowed to stay in power by the oligarchs, tactical nukes are next. This is a big red alert. And we have another red alert coming up on our next broadcast involving Israel. I don't know if Israel is doing the West bidding. If Trump is saying, yeah, go ahead, Netanyahu. I don't know, but we're going to get into that next because things don't happen in isolation, but Russia is a caged, wounded animal. And coincidentally, and as an aside, and something we'll discuss tonight on the Doug and Dave Intel Report, China is not in a dissimilar position, but not as critical. Things are getting dicey. I'm Dave Hodges. This is the Common Sense Show. What can you do? Here's my only suggestion for solution, and I apologize ahead of time because it's really out of our hands. If this spills over to us, and I'll cover this a little more detail in the next segment, but if this spills over to us, food, water, guns, gold, ammo, natural medicine, and tools. You may have to defend your turf because if we have a grid down, if we have all these other things that can happen, you're going to have to be prepared to be on your own for a while. And see, this is something that'll just bounce right off most Americans. We're untouchable. I hope you're right. We'll see you back here next time.